Okay, so what have we got going on here? I have a paramilitary 2, PM2, that I want to take apart because I opened it over 7,000 times over the course of 6 days from Christmas 2025. And we want to go inside and take a look at it and see what's what. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Spydercos and I think what is it, the Manus, or I don't know. It's like two or three different Spyderco style knives. The lanyard loop is flared slightly, and you run the risk of breaking the scales to take them apart. So it's kind of a thing. So I'm going to go ahead and make one of those because I've got all the parts. I've got blocks of stainless steel that I could use. I've got blocks of brass that I can use. I could cut down these aluminum blocks. I could use them. I've got stock, but I'm kind of thinking this brass is going to be the way to go. So I'm going to make it out of this brass. Uh, so what do we got to do? Let's take a little quick look at it. Here's the Spyderco PM2. Right here is the lanyard loop. So what I've got to do is make a piece that will slip in this section between the liners with some prongs that will straddle this lanyard loop, and then a screw of some sort to press down to push that lanyard loop down and out of the scale. That'll free up this side that I could take it off, flip it over, do the same thing to the other side, and you're good to go. It should move freely inside of the scale here. I mean, inside the liners, but it's flared on either side that keeps it from freely just slipping through and coming out of the G10 handles. So we're going to make a tool to handle that situation. So let's get started. All right. The first thing I'm going to do, and what I'm thinking, I've got to try to do some measurements and to look at some stuff. But I've got this piece of block, and I'm thinking about half of it covers this piece right here, which is more than enough to do exactly what I need to do. Uh, so I'm thinking what I need to do is cut this block off slightly towards the back, take the block and bolt it towards the end, and that will leave me enough to put maybe some rods underneath here for some how about I look at you instead of up above you. Put some rods in that piece that will slip between the scales. So let's try to get this prepped, and if I change my mind between now and then, I'll let you know. Oh, 7,779. Okay, so just a little recap where we're at on this so far. No, I guess maybe I can zoom in a little bit and center it up. See, so I've got the block in the vise here, and the block is, I didn't measure the width. I mean, the width just needs to be wide enough for your knife to fit in there and put the hardware in here. So the block is 45 millimeters long, and I scored a line at 14 millimeters at each end of the block. Now, that gives me enough time to drill and insert pins, is what I'm going to try to use in this block, and reattach it to the bottom, which will give me the step I need to fit the knife up inside like that right there. And then I will drill and tap this for some some kind of thread. I don't know. If I find a bolt that is just perfect that I could machine down to be the perfect thing to fit in there, which I may be able to find that, then I'll go with that. I don't know what size that is. I'll get some measurement on it, and at this video I will show some of that. Put that information in there, either in the description down below, or we'll talk about it at the end of the video when we're actually taking a look at this tool. So right now, let's go ahead and get this cut off. And I will probably edit this or forget and not. And yes, I have tools that I could do this so much easier. But the big problem is, like on my bandsaw, it's designed for big stuff, not tiny stuff. And I could take and use my end mill and use a tiny end mill to cut this out, but I still won't get as small a cut as I will with this hacksaw. And so I'm trying to not lose as much material as I can. Now, if this thing was, you know, 50, 60 millimeters long, then I could do that with no problem. And I don't think there would be issues with trying to cut it in a better fashion. But this is just not long enough to fit in my stuff and cut reliably. And I will take the milling machine and dress up the ends of this block so that everything looks better. And we'll probably get in here and polish this stuff out. This hacksaw blade is horrible. I just don't have any more. This hacksaw, it ain't no telling what all this hacksaw's cut, knowing me. Oh, close to halfway. Okay, so I'm an old man, so I got to take a break with my arm, and I'm gonna cut you off until I got that cut off. Okay, so that has my holes drilled. So, see if this will zoom in. So I have the two blocks. Yeah, this is not easy. So I have the two blocks here. Finished hacksawing them off, and I put them in a vise and held them together like this and drilled holes. Now I'll get exact dimensions. I just eyeballed these, and we'll see how that turns out. But we'll get exact dimensions on how I drilled these holes, because I'm going to use 8x32 socket head screws, and I'm going to countersink them in the top of this piece right here. So I'm going to drill this out. This is drilled with the drill bit to actually tap it. This right here is drilled with the same drill bit. I've got to open it up so that these threads will actually just slide through here. Right now it won't, because it's ready for tapping. So I've got to open this up with a little larger drill bit, and then I've got to countersink the top. And let's get that done. You got to turn it off. Oh, 7,780. So we've got that part taken care of. It's opened up so that the socket head screws fit in there just fine. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and tap the bottom part. Normally I use this WD-40 as a lubricant, but I'm not really worried with this brass. And the 832 tap's pretty solid, so I don't think there's going to be an issue. There we go. Might have a tiny tap here going. And this is one of the Irwin style, I don't know what you call it, automatic alignment taps. So it's got a smaller end that gets in there, and it kind of tapers down so that you can't help but drive the tap pretty straight. And I need to make sure I've got this oriented right. It doesn't exactly matter as far as the thread itself, but it does matter when it comes to, yeah, that's the cut end, to make sure the holes match one another. Because I eyeballed it. I didn't. There they go. That's alignment. So that's how I need to. They're going to fit like that. Okay. And I may be overthinking it. I don't know. I overthink a lot of things. But that's the side I'm going to do. Now, let's try the skin. Oh, wow, that didn't really matter, but still. I don't know if you can hear that, the little popping sound, but that's how brass sounds when you're cutting into it. You want to make sure that you back up, especially when you get that thread started. And the reason why is you want to break that chip, because it can get to the point that it binds. And when that happens, that's when you're going to break a tap off in a hole. In worst case scenario, if you get too deep in the hole and you haven't broke the chip, then what you end up with is you could, getting that tap out, if you don't break it, you could rip your threads out that you just tapped into deep hearts. And I think this is one of my dull taps because it's got a lot of friction against it. I think I may go ahead and put some lubricant in there. Well, before my WD-40. Okay, so there's my WD-40 on the other side of the camera. But I have the ability to sneak up on it. So let's back this out. Several turns. We need to clean that tap anyway. And I can promise you it is probably full of brass. And you don't want to get it all galled up in there. I can tell you this much, with aluminum, you can cut aluminum. It's all happy, happy, happy. And you end up getting that aluminum stuck literally to your high-speed steel, and it is all but welded on there. Now we don't have to worry about that here, but still. Get to the bottom of my thread because I'm gonna tap it all the way through the block. There we go. Cutting again. Should be getting through pretty soon. Yeah, I think I better clean it again. That will actually not only give lubricant, but it will flush out the chips that are in the hole already. Now just kind of go easy until it finds the thread. Don't try to force it in there to the thread. If it's not easy to turn like you can see here, then you are potentially cross-threading something that you are just trying to get threaded. And I should be able to go all the way through this time without stopping. And then we're going to have to go to the milling machine after this. I'm actually coming out the bottom, so good. And there we go. Now I want to sink it all the way down as deep as I can. Now I don't want to try to force it any deeper, but just get it to the bottom of those threads. And I want to take and flush. I want to flush that tap off, so when I back it out, I'm not tearing up my threads. And I can't completely flush it out because I mean there's going to be some debris in there whether I want it to be or not. Tap is a whole lot cleaner than it would have been normally. Okay, just clean the tap and the threads. All right, so, and I'm tapping a little deeper than I really should on each turn here. Um, I shouldn't really be trying to get so far, but I'm in a hurry, and I got more blocks and I got more taps. So I hate to look at it that way, but it's true. And I had multiple of these blocks. I could have just literally used 2 blocks and did this same thing with, and much faster, by cutting it with one of my machines, because I could cut the whole block easier than I could just a piece of the block. So I could have done that, but this right here, I mean that would just be wasting a lot of metal, and I don't have a whole lot of these blocks, and so I don't want to waste them because I've used them for multiple things, a lot of stuff. I'm coming out the bottom. I'm fixing to tap on through. There we go. Okay, now when we back it out, our tap is pretty clean. We don't have to worry about ripping those threads out. Now you're more likely to rip threads out with, I mean, I'm gonna call it gummy metals. Like I've ripped out cast iron threads. I've ripped out aluminum threads. Uh, um, I've ripped out brass threads. Not too often because I try to be more careful. Not today, but usually. Uh, and a lot of metals that tend to be more gummy on the stuff, I've taken and destroyed the threads on them by not paying close enough attention to what I'm doing. Let me see if I can grab a. I'll tell you what, I'll just do that when I'm doing the milling machine part. So, how did I do these? Yep, that looks right. not long enough to actually get some threads on there. And I may have some longer ones. I don't know, but I don't need longer ones. Uh, Let me go ahead and we'll get the milling machine set up so I can get these screwed together and start, facing all around them to smooth them out, which I'll probably get under here. And after these are mated together and screwed together, oh, I need to look at that screen and make sure I'm centered. Get all these screwed together and made together. Run the end mill across here and cut this a little shallower because I don't need all that meat for the threads because it shouldn't be that much force going on the lanyard loop. And it also cut this shelf straight with this, the rest of the stuff. And then I'll run across the back with the end mill to square that up. And then we'll get on the grinder or the belt sander and kind of round off all the corners. We'll get it thrown back together and maybe polish it up, maybe not. But the last thing I need to do is get in here and drill holes in the top side here that are far enough apart to get on either side of the lanyard loop and not interfere with these screws. So that's going to be a little what and what, but we'll see. I don't think I'm going to need very big ones, but I will need to get in there. I may drill them towards the bottom and give at least about a 1/16 of an inch from the bottom, which should give enough meat, hopefully. So let's get into it. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed earlier, but I put a little X on the top of it when I knew I had the correct orientation um, of how this piece goes with the other one. So I'm going to hopefully keep my hands out of the way so that it won't continuously refocus. If I move over there too close to the camera, then it'll do that and you won't see what's going on down here. I apologize. I'm still trying to get this shop stuff, doing videos, working right. So anyway, just so happens I already had the correct attachment in here to be able to do this. Now I had to, my jaws are never oriented the right way every single time. They're always backwards from what I'm needing. And so, let's see. And so I had to turn them around. Now I didn't retrim everything and make it all beautiful and perfect because I'm eyeballing this. To be honest with you, I really much prefer to just eyeball stuff. I mean, you can do the machine precision and it's absolute and perfect and you can tell it was made by a machine. But the point of handmade, and this is as close as you can machine handmade, is basically you do it by hand. And so I'm eyeballing everything. I'm not doing a whole lot of measurements and stuff like that. And so I don't care about absolute precision. And so that being the case, just go ahead and hold that for now. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to eyeball. Now, I kept the drill bit that I originally used to drill these holes. Why did I do that? So I can align it. Now I can tell that looks close there. Okay, so that's almost perfect that way. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to kick this on and run that drill bit down through there. Okay, so now I think this was the last one that I used for countersinking heads. And that is actually, that's bigger than what I need. Let me try to find a smaller one. That's a ball nose. Be right back. Stumble right in the bottom. Cracked little shop here. Stumble over what sounds like pots and pans because it is pots and pans. All right, so not pots and pans, that's a pressure cooker lid. Let's see what we got here. I think this is a 3/8. $5 millimeter. I may not have a smaller one. Or I may have a smaller one, but it's by no means gonna end up being right. Oh, here we go. This is smaller. I don't know if this is gonna be big enough though. You know what? We're gonna go with this and I'll show you what I'm gonna do. If it's not big enough, I'll chuck this screw, this Allen screw in my lathe and trim the outside of it, because all I need is the Allen screw on the inside. So here we go. So now this is in alignment, and I've tightened up my gimps. I've tightened up my cross slide and all that good stuff. And basically I'm just using this there we go. Drill bit for alignment. So I know that this is now centered over that. Let's crank her up just a little bit. Full travel. So let me get y'all's way for a minute. Now, we'll get it down here, tighten it up, and I will just sneak up on it. Because this is where I usually end up pushing it down, because I've got to get it far enough out to do whatever. And watch this get done a bit. Yep. Oh, that's a dull end mill. I don't know if I mentioned, by the way, this is New Year's Day. So let's give this 2-flute a try. Let's see what happens. Almost acts like it's cutting. Okay, so let's test the diameter for this head. And it is small, but we can fix that. We're going to fix that. Okay, so I got that down kind of deep. I think that's about right. So let me see if I can find some nuts. And I'll show you what I'm going to do. Hopefully I have some. Here. Nope, those are not going to thread. That's not even what this is. But them is. Okay. God. Oh, it's so bad for an old man to bend over. Okay. So what I've done is I've taken my screw and I have run some nuts up on it and tightened them against one another on the thread with the screw slightly stuck out. Let's see if I can throw this in my lathe real quick, cut that head down enough to fit in that hole. I don't have the camera set up right now to be able to do multi-camera stuff, so bear with me. Okay. So I got a carbide bit in here. We're going to try to trim a little off. See how this works. I'm worried that it won't, but we're going to try it. Now, what I've got to be careful is that I don't trim all the shoulder off. And so then it's not really holding anything. And that fits. I didn't have to take that much off, but it works. So let me get these loose. Okay. And there's still decent shoulder on there. So let's see if we got this deep enough. Almost, and that was eyeballing it, guys. It's almost perfect. Now, I think I may leave it just a slight bit proud so that whenever I sand it, I don't know, maybe that's a little too much. Yeah, let's go deeper. Almost perfectly flush, but we're going to go a little more because we can. You know, I'm going to leave that right there. So now what we're going to do is get aligned on the other side. And I should probably set a depth stop, but nah. Don't even worry about it. We'll just eyeball the other one too. So let's get everything lined up on the other side. This all for the opening marathon on the Spyderco PM2, but it's going to be. I didn't lock that one. Boy, that was not smart. Let's go ahead and lock it now. And I started that video yesterday. Let's go ahead and unlock that. Ooh, that feels good. So we're going to call that an alignment. Run it through. Just because I can. All right. We're going to go ahead and start a little bit of cutting on here and then oh, did you see what y'all almost let me do? Oh my good, and I would have blamed y'all. Absolutely, it would have been y'all's fault. Okay, so when you're working on a gun, you don't want to have any ammunition on the table whatsoever. That is the safest thing you can do. Trust me, I promise you, that is the safest thing you can do. So whenever you are using an end mill, you only want the end mill you need on the table. Okay, for all I know, that's probably too deep, but let's go ahead and cut this one down. So I cut the other one a little too small, and that was perfect. Well, it's still wobbly, but it'll work just fine. And so I'll tell you why that'll be to our advantage in just a moment. Try to keep you in suspense. What do they call that in YouTube world? I gotta hook you and keep you interested, or I don't know, something. Feels like YouTube's abandoning me right now. I was getting all kind of views, and then they just quit. Ain't hardly anybody watching now, but it's okay. They ain't quitting. Just because YouTube quit, don't mean I'm gonna. I guess it says my stuff, or I was looking at it, it sucks. Politely says, "Well, you're not resonating with your audience." Basically, YouTube is not making as much money. I hate to feel that way, but you know, oh well. Oh, hold on. I need to clean that up. Just a second. Let it get close enough to the nuts that I put on there. What the world? It's in the other way. Oh, guess what? I ain't cut it deep enough yet. Let's try that. Yeah. Almost. Okay. Yes. That is good. All right. So let's talk about what we've got so far. So with this, I've got a slight bit of movement with the screw. And I do have a little bit of more with this one than I do this one, but a little bit of movement with the head. And that allows me a little bit of play in getting this into alignment. So let me find the right Allen wrench. Which is that one. Let me find the alignment on these. I think that's it. All right, let's loosen that up. Let's see if we can get the other screw started. Okay, so let's get back in there. Sorry about that. My battery died. So normally I would grab a face mill, a shell mill, something, and just kind of dress all this up. But I'm lazy, and like I said before, I'm in a hurry. I don't want this to take all day to do this for a simple tool. So we're going to get this. I've screwed it together there, and we're going to go ahead and get this in the vise. Go ahead and clamp that, and I am going to loosen my gimbals, and we're going to come down. I'm going to get it in place, and we're going to just run all around the top of it. Okay, so it just occurs to me that I probably should tell you the reason why it is not safe to use a drill press as an end mill is because most of them, excuse me, have heads that are screwed on. They may be on a, what is it, a Jacobs, JT, I don't know. But they have a screw on there. And it doesn't matter whether the screw is reverse thread or forward thread, or the spindle may be screwed into the main stock on the mill, I mean, on the drill press. Or it just may be a Morse taper that's shoved up in there to hold into place. All those are fine for a drill press because all of your forces go the same way. Your drill press doesn't reverse. Now, if you have a drill press that reverses, it's probably a different story, but you're going to have to look into it to see if it's rated for end milling. Now, here, let me explain why that's dangerous. Because if you saw what I was just doing, I was cutting this way, cutting back this way, cutting this way, cutting all around. I was moving the table in all different directions against the end mill. What does that do? That causes your forces to change. If you're cutting this way, then you've got forces going backwards that could unscrew a reverse thread screw. Now, when I'm coming on the other side of it, like on this side, the teeth are coming in this way, catching the metal, which puts the force this way. And that's the opposite. So it can unscrew a left hand or I forget. I have to think about it, but I don't feel like thinking about it. Right hand or left hand, whichever one it is. And then I go on the other side of it, cutting this away against the metal. It puts the forces in reverse. And so you can, if it's a screw holding the head the chuck, the piece into the stock, then it can be unscrewed by using an end mill. And so that's why you've got to be careful. Now this piece right here it's screwed in. Now it's secured up here, but the head on this right here is actually got a screw in there that's screwed in there. So this is potentially dangerous. But again, that's why I was watching very closely and how I cut, because if I saw it to start dig deeper, then I knew that I was starting to unscrew something in here. It's also screwed in on a Morse taper. And so it's very unlikely that it's going to unscrew. And I'm doing light work on, very light cuts on brass. But do not, I do not do this. Do not use a regular chuck that's not designed for a end mill, or a machine that's not designed for an end mill. This has a drawbar that comes all the way up through the spindle, up through this part right here, that screws into the bottom part of this right here. And that's got it locked in it, sucking it all up there. And the only thing is this chuck that could potentially loosen up. And so that's what you got to be careful of. Your Jacobs chuck, where you've got it, this is mounted on a Jacobs chuck and then screwed in place, then that is a most secure kind of setup. But again, always check to make sure that what you are using is rated to run with end mills. So let me break this loose. So that's pretty smooth. We're going to finish that off on the oh, come on. We'll finish it off on the belt sander. Okay, so let's get going again. Ooh, I dropped my fill bit and my bar. Always take advantage. If you know, man, and you got to get on the floor, pick up everything you've dropped that you can. Dropped this a long time ago. Been looking at it. Don't want to bend over and pick it up, but being as I'm down there, got to get it. I always keep stuff like that in mind. Trust me, when you get old, you'll thank me. So that's smooth as a baby's bottom. I don't like the looks of that. I think it's slightly tinted. Well, just keep in mind, there's nothing here mission critical. So, but I do want to do something, right? Okay, so let me see. That's a factory face here. So I don't think I'm going to bother with it, but I am going to get in here, and now I'm going to cut this front right here as square as I can. Okay, so now I've got all those sides squared up. I'm going to square this face with this face and cut this face a little deeper.
Okay, so that was probably longer than it should have been, but it's done. So I'm not happy about that in there, but that's fine. I'm gonna take and round these corners on here, all these corners, round these, probably hit that with a file. This corner, this corner. Now, one thing that I need to do is to look at it, make sure that I've got enough here to put threads in there. And I believe I do. Yeah, I don't think I got a problem. I think I can get threads in there. So let me finish laying this out and drill a couple more holes, and then we will be right back. Your time is very important to me, and I thank you for spending it here with me. Thanks, and God bless.